If you can't change your fate, change your attitude. Amy Tan.
Today I'm going to show you how to make a wicking pot. What is a wicking pot? Well, it's a pot that you can plant vegetables in or flowers or anything that holds water in the bottom 2 to 3 inches of the pot, and then the plants are able to, the roots are able to go down into the water and the water wicks its way to the top. So that way they always have access to water. I grow tomato plants in these. You only have to water them maybe once a week and once they get real big in the summer. Prior to that, you may only have to water them, depending on how much rain you get, once every other week. So I love these for tomato plants. Tomato plants use so much water, especially once they get 3-4 foot tall and start putting on fruit. They use a ton of water. So a wicking pot is an excellent, excellent thing to plant tomato plants in. So today we're going to build one. So what you're going to need is some sort of pot. Now these pots here, I have 2 samples in front of me. They came from my father-in-law. He has cattle. I don't know, on the front of this one I think it says sweet ticks on it. This one doesn't have a brand name, but minerals come in these for cattle. So if you know a farmer, or if you have a recycle center around, a lot of farmers take these and put them in the plastic recycle, so you can get them for free usually. But you can go out to any rural area and you'll see these laying around everywhere. So you can get these for free. You'll need a piece of landscape fabric. I have a piece of just recycled landscape fabric that we've had here on the homestead. You'll need either 4 or 6 inch drain pipe. You can get this at any local hardware store. I just happen to have 4 inch here. I like to use 6 inch generally, but today we'll just use the 4 inch. You'll need a piece of 1.5 inch PVC cut at an angle. You can see how I have that one cut at an angle, and I'll explain that in a little bit. You'll need a tape measure, and you'll need a drill, and I use just a 1/2 inch spade bit. So a 1/2 inch spade bit works well just to drill a hole in the side of these. So the theory is, you put your drain pipe in the bottom of your bucket. Just like that, 2 pieces side by side. Then you come in and you drill a hole 1 inch from the top of those. Then you come in, you put your landscape fabric, you put your soil in, you plant your tomato plant. So what happens is, you'll slide this in right beside your landscape fabric. So you'll put this in, you'll put that in, your 1.5 inch PVC will be sticking out the top. So the landscape fabric keeps the soil from packing around your 2 pipes inside. This is your water fill. You can stick a garden hose right directly in here. Now if you don't have 1.5 inch PVC laying around, you have 2 inch. 2 inch works fine, 3 inch. Whatever size you want to use, whatever size you have laying around your homestead or your farm or your house works, as long as it's big enough for a garden hose to go in. Then you come in here, you drill your hole 1 inch from the top of the 2 tubes, and what that does is that allows the water to drain out. Because if you don't allow the water to drain out, your plants are going to drown. The roots will eventually rot. So what will happen is, when you fill this up, water will start coming out that hole, and then you can stop. Then you have about 3 inches of water sitting in the bottom of this all the time. You use a good garden soil, something with a lot of peat. I'll show you how to do that. I have a wheelbarrow full right here. We'll go ahead and we'll build one of these. We'll fill it with soil, and we'll plant a tomato plant in it. So let me get started. Okay, let's put our wicking pot together. You can see I have 2 pieces of the 4 inch corrugated pipe, drain pipe in the bottom of my bucket. We want to drill our hole just above this. So we want our hole to be roughly 1 inch from the top of this. So if we measure it with our tape measure, we see that's roughly 4 inches, a little over 4 inches. So as long as we come 3 inches from the bottom of the pot, we're going to be good. That'll serve 2 purposes for drilling that hole. One, it'll let the excess water go out. But the second purpose is it'll let air go in, so air will get to the roots. If you do not let the water out and air to the roots are gonna rot and your plant's gonna die. So whatever you put in here, of course we're gonna put a tomato plant in here today, but it's gonna die if you don't put a hole in it and drain that excess water out. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll put both our pieces in there, and you wanna cut them to where they fit good and tight inside it. So we're gonna measure 3 inches from the bottom of the pot, and we're gonna drill our hole. So if we drill our hole at 3 inches, and again, I'm just using a 1/2 inch spade bit on it. Now when we look on the inside, we can see there's plenty of room for air to get in and water to get out, and we'll still hold 3 inches of water in the bottom of this pot. So once you get that completed, you can set your tape measure and your drill aside. You want to put your landscape fabric in. Now, this landscape fabric, you want to make sure the sides over here on the sides of the corrugated pipe go all the way down in there. So that way your soil goes down into the water, and that gives you your wicking action that wicks back to the top of the pot. The first time you fill this, depending on how wet your soil is, you may have to fill it again in a couple days after it wicks the water up and gets your soil good and wet. But both sides, you want to make sure, if you have to fold your landscape fabric over a little bit, you want to make sure both sides are in there. And then you want to take your piece of PVC, cut it at an angle. Now, the reason we cut this at an angle, if you were to put the flat side in, and it was to go flat against the bottom of the pot, it could create a vacuum and your water wouldn't go into your pot as easily. So that's why we cut it at an angle, so that way the water can drain down in the bottom nice and easy. So I just like to stick that on one side, tuck it in behind your landscape fabric. You can see I have it tucked in behind the landscape fabric. I have the landscape fabric down on both ends, so it's covering all the way around. Fold your corners back. Now we can fill it with dirt. So what I have here is a good premium potting soil. This is Pro Mix and compost mixed together. You want something with a lot of peat in it. And Pro Mix has a lot of peat. Plus I mixed compost in this, and I put some actual peat moss in it and mixed it all together. Now this soil here is recycled soil from another pot that I grew last year, and it's time for me to change it out. So that's why you can see a few little roots down in it. Now when you're filling this up, you can see how the landscape fabric wants to pull from the side. So just take your hand and pack it and push it back. Just like that. And then you can continue filling your soil. Okay, that's as full as I'm going to do that. I like to stop several inches from the top, because about halfway through the summer, I'll come back and I'll put a layer of compost on this. So that way it gives the tomato plant a feeding, and it'll make it through the summer. Now I've mixed, this has probably got, I'd say 1/4 of this is compost already that I've mixed in. So what we'll do is we'll plant our tomato plant in here. Then I like to come back in here after I've planted my tomato plant and take grass clippings and put on it. And that serves 2 purposes. If you put 2 or 3 inches of grass clippings, fill it all the way to the top, that helps hold moisture in especially in the heat of the summer when you're not getting a lot of rain. And it helps keep weeds down. Even though this is in a pot, you're still gonna get weeds in it. Birds are gonna drop seed, the wind's gonna blow seed, so you can still get weeds in it. So I always like to come in with about 3 inches of grass clippings whenever I get done and cover the whole top with grass clippings. Also, for a tomato plant, I come in and I put 2 stakes in, slide them down the side, and I take wire and go around and I make a cage around it. We don't have to do that right now because our plant's still small, but in the next couple weeks, I'll make sure I get that done before the plant gets too big. Then I can train it as it grows to grow into the wire. So let's get us a tomato plant. Let's put it in here, put some grass clippings on, and we'll finish this pot up. So I've been saving this tomato plant. We don't have a greenhouse yet. That's a project we plan on doing later this summer, is building a greenhouse. I've been growing this inside. Already has a couple little tomatoes on it. So I've been saving it for this project. So all you have to do is go to the center of it, make you a hole with your hand, and then take your tomato plant and plant it. Now this one, I already have a little piece of bamboo stuck on it here to help hold it up, but I'm gonna get a bigger piece because these tomatoes are getting a little heavy for this small piece of bamboo. So now I'll get some grass clippings, cover this with the grass clippings. I'll get 2 posts, 2 pieces of pipe or bamboo or whatever you want to use, and then I'll put wire around it. I have my larger piece of bamboo here. I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the pot all the way to the bottom. So this way, this piece of bamboo is going to hold this tomato plant up until it gets big enough for the wire to hold it up. Another thing I like to use are these little clips. You can get these at a greenhouse supply, but they're called tomato clips. They stretch. They're perfect for tomatoes. So I'm going to put a couple of those on there to help hold the plant up. So as the plant grows, this is going to stretch. I'll put another one up here. We'll spin it around. We'll go ahead and take this small bamboo stake out so I can use it on another smaller plant, because we don't need it on this one anymore. I just had a twist tie on it. We'll pull that piece out and set it aside. So now we have our tomato plant in, we have it staked. I'm gonna put my grass clippings in here. Like I said, I like to do about a 2 or 3 inch layer of grass clippings. Just when you mow the yard, just blow it all to the center and then rake it up, and you'll have plenty of grass clippings to use. Now this is also, as this breaks down, it's gonna add organic matter to the soil, and it's gonna release nutrients in the soil. So we're serving several purposes by putting grass clippings on here. Okay, our wicking pot is done. The last thing that I'll do here in a week or two, I'll come in and I'll put 2 stakes on both sides and then put wire around it. And it'll be done for the summer. Let's fill it up with water and let her grow. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, if you have any comments or ideas, please leave them in the comments below. I'm always willing to learn. If somebody's done this before and they have a better way of doing it, by all means, let me know. If you like this video, click like, click subscribe, and thanks for watching.